Good morning. It's a while since I've done a video, but I thought it was very important. We've got a lot of new users of the WinForm GTX program and a lot of inquiries about how it all works. So this is a guide to what you can do. I'm Gary Robinson for horseracingaustralia.info. Don't forget to subscribe and like somewhere during the broadcast. And I'll carry on, and I'll be using the ratings for Flemington and Rosehill on Saturday. Rosehill, I think I'll be surprised if it's a good track. So I'm going to just downgrade that slightly. So the tracks around Sydney are currently slow and there's still a little bit more rain around. Flemington, the tracks in Melbourne were quite good today at Sandown, but that may have changed. So it's a good for at the moment, but you never know what's going to happen. Now, for those who have watched these videos before, the first thing you might notice is that to make this easier for you to see, I've changed the font, made it slightly bigger and also bold. And it's easy for people to do this on their own versions of WinFormgtx. Also, some of the members are asking me, how do you get that proposed picture of the horses and speed map at the bottom of the screen? It's simple really. So if you go into here, it says photo. If I click that, that turns it off. And if I click it back on, it turns it back on. Okay, now some of the things you can see, given that we're just not particularly worried about the form of the races just at this moment, but we've got this set up. And what we can do here, we're looking at the field view. We can change that though in the race to the last start differences, and this brings about all the horses that are what's happened between this run and the last. So for example, Super Razi has a weight change of down 3 kilos and a very slight increase in class. Last start margin was a win of 3/4 of a length, and it was 15-1 in the classic prices. You can change classic prices to decimal prices if you like. There are ways of that in doing it, but that will come up in the menus. And plus there's a very comprehensive online book you get with this. So you can see all that one. So if you look at Suzuko, there's a interesting upgrade here. 200 metres more than last start, whereas just above at Port Cologne, it's 1,200 metres less than last start. But this run is first up after a run of 189 days, whereas this one was started just 25 days ago. So that's a little bit basic, and there you've got the picture forecast, if you like, based on the WinForm ratings, which are clicked right in here. Now, if I wanted to do it on the basis of consensus ratings, which is in the program and adds together the some vital statistics, it comes up, it looks a whole lot different. So you can see there's less of a margin here. So WinForm, which is based on different characteristics of the form, comes here. Now, if we looked at the speed map, we click it on there, and we can see that the leader here is expected to be B Hunter from Super Razi and so on. And you get an idea of in lengths of about how they are going to be. So you virtually don't have any leaders in this race, do you? They're not on pace runners, but nevertheless that would have something to do with it. It's a 1600 metre race, and these horses are most likely middle distance runners anyway. So the other thing you can have a look at is the GTX predictions, and these are based on what they think the market is going to be during the day, and they're reasonably accurate. So they're expecting that Bermudez is probably likely to be favourite, Super Razi second favourite, and so on. So with Mahamedi's likely to be not the favourite at all. But anyway, so and this one here is a compare. It allows you to look at horses that are in the race and what happened on the last time they met each other. So on the 7th of November last year, you could see that Bermudez and B Hunter are in the same race. And the weight change, B Hunter's down 2.5 kilos. Bermudez is only down 0.5 kilo. However, Beer Hunter was 5.8 lengths down, and you can see it was only 3/4 of a length for Bermudez. Okay, so we can look at the other. There's several other comparisons between these two horses. You can see how it worked out in the previous preparation, for example. So that's another thing. If we go in and we look at alphabetic runners for the day, it's got it up there, so it's easy to find things if you're looking for a particular horse. The other thing here is a very good thing that I find is dual acceptors. Now, that tells you all the horses that are in different races. So we've got Wave and the Boy is in Flemington race 7. It's also Rosehill race 4 and also race 9. So we're waiting for Chris Waller to decide where the horse is going to race. Now, it's very interesting when you can see they're possibly going to Flemington or possibly staying at home at Rosehill. And the thing about this is it may be that they're expecting a better track condition at Rosehill than Flemington. And then there's also 2 choices of race. So you can assume when they finally decide which race it started in, it's a decision made on the horses that are entered in either of those races, what the track conditions are expected, how the barrier drawers ended up, and so on. Same here with Thunderlips is in 2 races at Rosehill. This one here, Steffi Magnetti, it's Jorn Baker, and it's in Flemington race 4. It's also nominated for Rosehill race 5. And by looking at those races, which of course you can here, let's have a look at Flemington race 4. We're looking for Stilly McGregor. Just looking at WINFORM here. Stilly McGregor, where are you? Race 4. We just go back to field view. Go to Flemington 4, and Starlack is down there at one last start, and this race is a benchmark 78. And we go to Rosehill 5, and we find Starlack should already also be in that race. Or have I got the wrong one? Did I do it wrong? Let's go back to dual acceptors. You can always go back here. Flemington 4, Rosehill. Flemington 4, Rosehill race 5. Got it right in the first place. Oh, there it is, Steffi Magnetica. And there it's rated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th at Rosehill. If you look at Flemington race 4, it's also ranked 4th at Flemington. So, but we can see here we've got a runner here which is likely to be at a possibly shorter price or a better chance in race 5. Rosehill race 5. We're looking here and we're seeing that the competition is quite different. Stella Magnifica is rated about 21 chance there in 5th place. Whereas at Flemington, race 4, that's rated at 22 to 1 chance because of Roterical being in there. Okay, so we've explained that. List of jockeys, that's really easy. That tells you all the jockeys that are in for the day and which horses they're riding. The trainers here. What's handy here is you can see where they're going to race, and also you can see where their training base is, which can sometimes be okay. Now I also put here in this particular one, I put in the jockeys. Now those ratings for the jockeys won't be in until closer to the day because it does take into account starts of those jockeys on Thursday and Friday. In actual fact, I picked up this form on a Wednesday, so they're not in there yet. But on the day, you can have a look and it can tell you what the strike rate is for various jockeys at the current time. So that's all handy. Now, let's get back to business. And we're looking at this race. Let's go ahead and look at the form. So, looking at Rhetorical, we find last start here was at Mooney Valley, was beaten 5 lengths. The start before that, first up, was only beaten the neck. It began awkwardly in that particular race, but like a lot of horses, they can perform okay first up, but they're not so keen second up. You want to do an interview with some of those horses to decide what it is that makes them so reluctant to run second up. Anyway, not to worry. So this is a New Zealand horse. So 2 runs here, and it's right in the market for us because we're looking at this Riccarton race, which is a listed race, back on the 16th of September, where it ran a time of 67.18. That's absolutely outstanding. So our rating here is 66.6, and that's based on making allowances for the fact that it's running in, we'll be running at Flemington today, and that'll be a straight run. So that's one of the things. Let's look at power, rhetorical. Let's have a look at Power Ballad now. The best run we have here is a 56.8. That was Canterbury on the 17th of November. It's a leader. It was beaten last start on a heavy track. It seems to prefer good going if it can get it. But anyway, once again, that one too, you might notice second up didn't do much good. Being trained by Gay Waterhouse, it's going to be right up there in the lead, and it's 1100 metres, which would seem to suit that horse. If we look at the next one, once again, we can see where our WINFORM rating is. Also, you can see some other ratings here that I have, but you can put whatever you want into those columns. So if you wanted to compare some of the other ones, you can add a column in. That's done simply by, when you look at here, you go select columns. You can see these are the columns that we've got in the current field. These are the columns we've got in available field. So automatically you can put those in. So as you can see, we've got the horses running along there. Another thing we've got that's vital is the steward's report, which explains some of the anomalies. It also tells you the previous jockeys and who's the current jockey in this case for this particular runner. Mertens was on it last time, Mertens is on it this time, and so on. But you can change that. The only important thing is when you do change that, you've just got to double click this to put it over there. It drops it right down to the bottom. If you want to grab hold of it like that and push it up somewhere further in the information, you can. Also, the important thing is that you should save whatever you've done, okay? So that'll keep the picture the way you want it. All right, so that's a bit of information about there. Down the bottom here, you'll see our WINFORM graphs. And this particular one shows the expected performance today. And over on this side, it shows you its best performances within a couple hundred metres either side of this distance. So it's interesting to have a look at that. And you can also see what the highest run is and whether it's practical to see that it could possibly do its best rating again. And that applies to all the horses. The other thing in here is this is O for other, okay? That's an important one. This says it's getting a 5.3 bonus, which is because when this rating was taken, it was a wet track, and we try to bring all the ratings back to what they would likely do on a good track. Okay, this is a jockey rating here. In this case, a 4.5. The average jockey is on a 5. The best jockeys are on a 0. Okay, so we go back, and of course there's the stats. The 3-year-old filly, 5 starts for a win and a second. Distance, 3 starts for a win and second, and so on. So there are numerous combinations to make here. I put in the jockey and trainer and where the trainer usually trains from. What this picks up, if you're having a look, especially for country runners, you might look and notice that you've got a country trainer who's somehow running the horse 3 or 4 hours away from where it's trained, and you've got to think to yourself, well, why did they take it all that way when there were probably dozens of other races they could have gone in much closer to home? So if you can't find a reason for it, you might have a suspicion that it's set up for that particular race. Okay, and as you can see down here, we've got the map. If we change it to what's going to be closer up front and what's not, you look at the leaders and you've got Power Ballard, Spicy Mugs and so on. And of course Power Ballard is there, and Savee. So you've got the on-pace runners clearly marked there, which can be a big help. Now you might have noticed Rhetorical, even though it looks like it's going to be better there, when you look at the map, it's expected to be somewhere towards the rear. Okie dokie. So these are all the things you can do, and I'll do a another particular video for this, but now I'm just going to go quickly through some of the form selections. Now, one of the things you've got here is systems, and you can nominate your particular systems. So what I'm doing is just going to put it in for today's races, and I'm going to have a look here for see if there are any selections there that come up for the horses we like to back using our plans. And I've only got one, which is Flemington Race 1, number 1. And that's the sort of horse which has a very high strike rate with us, somewhere around 40%, and does make a profit for us. So that might be the only race in those two venues. Obviously, there may be some somewhere else. So it's so easy to click in there and see if you're going to have a selection for the day. And you have a look at that horse, and hopefully it is Thursday today. I'm just going to quickly go to Bet365, and I'm going to see what price that is likely to be on Saturday. Once I go in here, there's no need for me to log in at this stage. Is just to go to horse racing, and I go to Australia, New Zealand on Saturday, and the race we're looking at is Flemington Race 1. Got fixed price available. We're looking at Super Razi, is currently $2.10. There's plenty of money also, $1.85 for Bernadez, and those two runners take up 100% of the field, so they're giving those other runners there absolutely no chance. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but the good thing is if you do bet 365 and you take that $2.10 price today, if it drifts in the market and still wins and were to end up drifting out to 250, 260 or something like that, bet 365 will pay you that longer price. So that's something you can get onto if you're convinced that the horse can win. So it's saying $2.10. We've actually said here that our rating for it is $2. So for us, that's a little bit of a bonus. And to be honest, I'd rather be on a 5-year-old rather than a 7-year-old. Okay? So there we go. Even though Moroni's got it and trained at Flemington, this is trained in Wangaratta, but you can't deny last start form. And it won at this track, was a 60.9. Its best form was at Randwick on a 61.2. There's another run there where it was a 60.8. It certainly looks like the goods. Okay. All right. We'll close the video off now, and you've got a best bet for Saturday. Hopefully it's still there. And let me just put this here and see how it is on a wet track. And even if it's a wet track, it still stays on top, and the rating remains unchanged. So very good luck to you, and thanks for watching.